You're listening to ESOPOD, the Foliance ESOP podcast. Hey, welcome to the ESOPOD. My name is Sean Hoy with Foliance Shared Services and the ESOP communication team. And today I'm joined by Ben Janssen. He is the president of Cimarron Trailers. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on this podcast. This will be a first time experience, but excited to get to do
Yeah,
this.
I just talked to Shelby last month, and that was a good time. And it's always a good time when I'm down there too. You guys are always very welcoming to everybody.
That's our goal. So I'm glad to hear that's what you're receiving
Yep,
here as well.
absolutely. So Ben, I know you pretty well. I've been down there quite a few times, but some folks might not know who you are. So could you give a brief introduction of who you are, where you came from?
Sure, be glad to. I'm Ben Janssen, president of Cimarron Trailers. I've been here 19 years now, working for Cimarron Trailers. I've spent my career post college in the trailer industry, manufacturing side. I'll backtrack a little bit. I grew up in Indiana. That's where I was born and raised. Was north of Indianapolis, at a small town called Sheridan. Um, Small community, farming related. But my dad's a veterinarian, and he and my mom had their own veterinary practice. So I grew up right there with a lot of animals coming in and out of our place all the time. A lot of horses and cattle, dogs, cats. Grew up showing horses and cattle and 4-H and high school rodeo. My sister and I always loved being out in the shop building stuff. My dad's a veterinarian, but I got to see a lot of animals, come into the to our clinic, and sometimes they got injured, in a trailer. So I always, was interested in how to make things better, how to make things safe. Uh, Growing up, we went to a lot of high school rodeos, 4-H events, and some of those were cross country, traveling across the country. But a lot of my memories growing up as a kid revolved around having a trailer and taking our animals somewhere. And fast forward to now, we get to build products that keep families together, on the weekends, building stuff. Uh, they get to travel across the country and in the trailers that we get to build. So after I graduated high school, I went to college at Kansas State in Manhattan, Kansas. Was there 4 years. I was on the rodeo team there at K State. My first job was in Kansas then. I worked for Travelong Trailers in Waterville, Kansas for a year. And then I got the opportunity to come to Oklahoma to work for Hart Trailers. And I was there almost 5 years, and then came over to Cimarron in 2005 and been here ever since. It's been a great fit for me. I love building products. I'm a consumer of the product. I've got a couple of Cimarron trailers myself. I could sit down and figure out how many different ones I've owned, but I've got two now. I own them for a couple of years and sell them, build something else. But our kids, got two kids, Blake and Claire. They both show cattle. They ride. My wife met Jody, my wife, and I moved here to Oklahoma. Dated and got married. We've been together be 22 years in June. So very blessed there. Very thankful for the opportunities here in Oklahoma, and this is where I've made my home now. And it's been great. I love building products. I love designing stuff with customers. I love that whole process of coming up with an idea, working with customers on what they want to do, draw it up on paper, work through that quote process, see that trailer get built, and then ultimately to see customers use it. I think that's an awesome thing. And I'm not as involved in that now as what I have been in my career, but you know, being president, I'm involved in a lot bigger things for the company as far as overall day-to-day things and vision and creation there. But really enjoy the industry. I love agriculture. It's a big part of my background on both sides of my family, and my wife's family's heavy in ag, and just love that lifestyle, the Western lifestyle and agriculture, animals. I get up every morning, do chores before I come to work, and I just love that life. So
That
very
that seems
blessed.
to be common, at least from an outsider coming into Cimarron. Like it seems like everybody is involved somehow past just building trailers. Like they have their own animals, or they're dealing with shows, and like is that? Could you see that as well?
We do have several people that live the lifestyle outside of work. That we're pulling trailers on the weekends or in the evenings going somewhere. And then we have other employees that have been here for a long time that don't, but they're still very passionate about Cimarron. So it's always a fun balance of people that are out there engaged, in the industry using the product, and also ones that are still equally as passionate about Cimarron, but don't have horses or cattle, that are out there using them. So, like Robbie Merritt has been, one of our lead sales guys, and who I've learned a lot from through the years. Robbie has been in the industry, his whole life, 45 plus years of working in the industry, but doesn't own horses or cattle, but yet has made a career in it and been a great pioneer in a lot of what we've done. So, and I can name several other names like that too that have made a career out of this industry, but don't have livestock. And yet there's several of us that are here that are involved. Shelby and her family have sheep, and kids are starting to show some pigs, and several others in the office and out in the shop that have horses or cattle or livestock.
Awesome. You said you've been involved in the trailer industry for since college. What all have you touched? Like you haven't been the president the whole time, so what all have you interacted with and built on trailers?
Yeah. A lot of areas, and I'll back up even a little bit before college. One summer, in my between my sophomore and junior year of college, that summer I worked for a dealership in Indiana that was near us. I worked sales counter. I stocked shelves with parts. We'd get a truck in every 2 weeks with trailer parts, and I'd label those and stock shelves. I'd help customers schedule repairs, and then once in a while get to go outside and help show trailers and sell stuff. But again, always just loved being around the industry and seeing different trends. Kind of studied trailers as a kid. I guess I was weird like that. But originally, post college, my first job at Travelong, I was in sales, and I had 7 states to cover in my sales area. Then I also got involved in some design work. I got to repackage some models when I was there, and tried to simplify some trailers instead of building everything per order. Tried to design some models that could be efficient. And I got the opportunity to come down to Hart Trailers, which there's a neat story there too. That they had an opening because Michael Terry had been at Hart for 15 years. Michael Terry and his wife Lana, who started Cimarron. When they started Cimarron in 2000, there was a job opening at Hart, and I was fortunate enough to get to go to work at Hart Trailers, and I got my exposure there into the custom aluminum horse trailers, and again was in sales, and then also did some AutoCAD work, did some drafting there as well, and was heavily involved in the sales there at Hart. Um, Great people, good company, but I was ready for some other challenges, and they were successful, but I wanted to be at a place that did more things than just what they'd done for many years. So there's an opportunity here at Cimarron, and got to come out here and work, and originally was in sales and also helped process warranty claims when I first started. I had drafting experience, so I would go over and help in the engineering department. At that time, there was one guy doing drafting, and I would help do quote drawings or sales drawings just to help speed up the sales department. Uh, and through the years, and started taking on more roles, and we got Dan Kendall in here to do warranty and take that. And at that time, it was just Robbie and I doing sales. As we grew, I got to elevate or grow to the director of sales, engineering, and marketing. So I got to kind of oversee that department for several years, combining the engineering, the sales, and marketing areas. And Cimarron continued to grow. And then ultimately, when Michael Lynn decided to retire and sell to Foliance, then I became president at that time. I was selected to be president.
Actually, wanted to ask you about that process. So you were here for quite a while, and then the sale to Foliance and becoming part of Foliance. How was that for you?
Well, it was a surprise at the time. I knew that Michael Lynn wanted to do something with the company eventually, but got to meet Daniel Goldstein. After Michael Lynn had kind of figured out the path that they were going to go down, but before it was announced to all the employees, I got to meet him and visit and try to wrap my head around what this would look like and be. It was a big, pretty quick transition. I would put it that way. It happened pretty quick from when I first heard about it to the actual um, transaction. But it's been a great transition for our company. There's been some few things we've had to learn along the way. Obviously, several things we had to learn, but it's been a great positive thing. Michael and Lynn, they're great people, are great people, very passionate about Cimarron and the community. They had other friends in the trailer industry that sold to big corporations or sold to private equity, and they didn't like the results of what they saw when that happened to those other companies. So they care passionately about Cimarron, they care about Chickasha, and wanted it to be here for many years, and the employees, to be able to benefit from it too. The better the company does, the better employees do, and so they sold, to Foliance and became employee owners, and it's been a big learning curve, but it's been really good.
Sort of related to that, uh, when Cimarron expanded to Manhattan, that was almost like another acquisition, although it was is a little different. It's, uh, the property and asset acquisition, but the employees kind of came with on the side. How is acquiring like a whole bunch of people into your company, like how has that gone for you, and how has the culture shifted at all, if you noticed?
I think it's a great question. I think the most important thing through that is, and Daniel was a leader on this too, was the sincere communication and doing what you said you would do, and being able to be upfront and have candid conversations with employees and not overpromise, but also at the same time, if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And that transition up there, going from privately owned for many years, the up there meaning Manhattan, Kansas facility, from their prior ownership to our culture and our ways, there was quite a bit of difference. But the employees that made the change, made the transition, and that are still with us have really embraced the Cimarron and Foliance culture that we brought in. So it's been exciting to see them grow and to take ownership in their roles and their jobs and really be engaged in the business. And it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I mean, there's going to be a few speed bumps, things we have to figure out. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of good, and we're grateful for the vision that Michael and Lynn had, that we are an ESOP and part of Foliance, so that we can have a more secure financial future and have a stake in what we're doing.
So going back to your experience on trailers and maybe specifically to the design work, have you seen any some big shifts in how trailers are designed or safety wise, like things that have become better over time?
Seen a lot of change, in 25 years of doing this. But I also try to keep it in perspective too. At the end of the day, we've got a family or we've got an individual wanting to haul their animals safely somewhere, get there safely, get home safely, and you don't want the trailer to be a problem for ruining their weekend or ruining their experience. So try to keep that in perspective. But as far as the trailers changing themselves, absolutely. 25 years ago, trailers were simpler. There wasn't the extreme custom that we have today. We used to talk about building a show trailer, a showpiece type of trailer for maybe the National Finals Rodeo or the Quarter Horse World Show or the Quarter Horse Congress, and it would be this. Let's dream up this really big trailer with these features on it, and we'd build a couple of those a year, a show trailer, if you will. Now it's like we're building that type of trailer every week. So the the biggest change I've seen is the size of trailers, the complexity of them, um, the features that customers want. Again, what used to be the high end trailer is almost the standard now.
Well,
So it's a challenge. It challenges us to keep being creative, to think of what's next. It's a challenge to reorganize our production, to adjust to the flow that the trailers are bigger and more complex, and also the training that goes involved from the production side, the employee side, so that we can produce that product consistently at a high quality level. It, it's a lot more complicated. It's still a trailer, towed by a vehicle that's going to haul animals, but there's a lot more details, more complexity than there was 20, 25 years ago. We've diversified our product offerings here over the last 15 years. When I first started here in 2005, Cimarron was 90% horse trailers, 10% livestock. And we saw a shift. The economic conditions of 2008, 2009 really challenged us to recreate ourselves in some extent, diversify the markets that we can sell to and design for. And out of that, we created our show livestock trailers, the show stars, the steer wall models, the show cattle trailers. That product line now is 25 to 30% of what we build. Still build a lot of horse trailers. About 60% of our market right now is horse trailers, but 40% being livestock. And those trailers are getting more complex than what we built 10, 15 years ago as well. So with that, the tow vehicle size, I've seen the trucks, they get bigger as far as capacity, horsepower, torque, towing capacity, and all three, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, plus the small semis, the Freightliners. The customers have many more options today on what they can use to tow these trailers with, and because they can pull bigger trailers, we're building bigger trailers. So it's fun, it's challenging, it's all that.
Maybe without going into too many specifics, what's the most outlandish or complex trailer that you guys have designed or built?
Well, it's hard to pick one anymore. um, these big living quarters that have an upstairs loft area for additional beds and sleeping space, one or two slide outs on the trailer, and they're maxing. The customers want to push us to the limits as far as the legal length, height, width, weight. I mean,
Let's max it all out.
we used to be able to get close to those, and now it's like, okay, this one checks all the boxes, and we had to negotiate how to not check this box with the customer. But they're just big. They're complex. So and the dollars go up with them, and that's what's hard to wrap my mind around sometimes. Just we've we build a wide variety of product, and we have entry level type trailer. Not say entry, just less complicated trailers, and then we've got a lot in the middle, and then we've got this top end, and the top end things are just they're big, they're complex, they're expensive trailers, but we've built an incredible brand. I'm very proud of our employees and past and present, and where our brand is and the recognition it has. And but it's something you can never relax on too. We just had our monthly shop meeting this morning, and I talked about you know what we do every day matters, and everybody makes a difference, and everybody has a role in making the Cimarron trailer what it is. So,
Awesome. I have a question that I got from someone. How does Cimarron engage with the Chickasha community and maybe also with the Manhattan community?
great question. We, we want to be a true community partner. So I'll start here with Chickasha first. We've been here for 25 years. Um, we've been parts of different committees. We've done multiple things through the years, but I'll list off a few of them. We locally we sponsor the Grady County Fair, the county fair and junior livestock show here that's held in our county. We're 3 miles from the fairgrounds, so we get a lot of customers that are in town for events come out, maybe take a tour, or we'll do a repair for them on their trailer. Chickasha has the Festival of Lights. If you're ever here from Thanksgiving to New Year's, it's worth your time to drive through the city park, Sharon Springs Park, and see the Festival of Lights. And we actually have a trailer, out of lights and metal out there that looks like a Santa Claus and Rudolph coming out the side ramp of a Cimarron trailer. It's pretty fun. But we do that. We participate in the Chickasha Chamber of Commerce. We were honored a year ago to be the Business of the Year in Chickasha, which was really a great surprise and fun to be recognized in that way. Personally, I'm on the fair board here at the county fairgrounds. Volunteer my time there. We've hosted tours here. There's a leadership Chickasha class that has 25 to 30 people in it every year, and they've come out and toured. They have a business and industry tour day, and so we've hosted tours for that. And it's always fun to take people that have never been through our facility through it, and people that have lived in Chickasha their whole life, or maybe they just moved here and driving by at 65 mile an hour, you have no idea what's sitting here until you go through the buildings, and it's always fun to open people's eyes up to that. So that's a few things. We're also involved with the Career Tech locally, the Canadian Valley Career Tech. I'm on the advisory board there. Our HR department's involved with them. Our shop leadership, Michael Harmon, a couple of guys have gone out there to help with their welding class and recruit and teach. We've hosted tours for that Career Tech, another one over at Fort Cobb, and then Duncan. So we do a lot of tours. We engage with our local career techs, show them that there's great job opportunities here locally. If those young kids are looking for a career out of school or out of their career tech, and it's been successful. We've hired people that have gone through those programs and are out here welding and doing a great job. Not everybody wants to travel the world, welding pipelines or building big buildings. They can have a great job with great benefits here locally where they want to live. And so that's been fun. In Manhattan, we've been there just over 2 years, and there's some local sponsorships we do there, but also Paul and Shane and the crew up there, they've gotten really involved with the welding program at the Manhattan High School, as well as the Manhattan Area Technical College, which is a 1 to 2 year welding program. They have other programs, but primarily we look at the welding program. They're on their advisory board and have engaged in high school signing type of events, and again have hosted tours. And it's been another great way to get those guys involved in the community. They've done some tours with Kansas State Animal Science Department and the horse club, horse events there. So we want to be involved and be a good community partner. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, do you have anything else specifically that you want to talk about while we're here?
Well, I just wanted, I guess, give a shout out to you guys, the IT and the shared service. I mean, we get to see Sean and Paul and the guys more often than the rest of the shared service team, but really appreciate how you guys keep us on the leading edge and protected. I know we've had a few you know things recently, IT wise, that have taken some attention, from a security standpoint, or Paul and Corey being here for the share reveal and getting us all of our audio visual ready was great. So appreciate that. And it's I know that we're 12, 14 hours away from Cedar Rapids, being here in Chickasha, but the fact that we've got a team up there that's helping us be successful and protected, and seeing that vision out there, it's been really helpful to our growth, and keep us focused on what we do best here too.
Well, thank you. And I don't want to speak for all of shared services, but I always find it very exciting to be able to travel around and see the awesome things you guys are doing, and get to be involved in that somehow, even if it's just from the sidelines or the backstage.
Well, it takes all of us, every one of us. I tell them all the time, we can't, not one person can build a Cimarron trailer start to finish, order the materials, design it, sell it, warranty it, repair it. Not it's not one person. It's everybody working together, and you guys are a part of that too. So we appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you. Keep making those trailers.
So that's
Yeah.
our plan. We're blessed. Business is good. This year's a little bit different. As far as the market, it's still good and solid, but it's not as crazy busy as it was 18 months or 2 years ago. There's a little bit more inventory available, but we've been through this before, and we'll make some adjustments as far as the models that we're building, and still take care of our dealers and customers, and we're in it for the long haul. So it's going to be a good year.
So related to that a little bit, I know you guys use a lot of aluminum. If anyone is curious, a lot of aluminum goes into a trailer. Um, how do you handle when the price goes up or down, kind of out of your control? Like, what do you guys have in place to stopgap or protect against that?
Great question. It's not perfect, but here's what we do. I, I get a report every day of the LME, the market, on where aluminum is, cash price, and future price. So I've got a report earlier this morning on what the future price is for the first quarter of next year of aluminum. So what we do is I look out in the future and forward contract some aluminum when the pricing is in line with where our costing models show us it needs to be. And if there's buying opportunities that are good for us, then I try to buy more pounds. So we kind of have a percentage that's bought forward contracts and a percentage that's cash price, try to play the balance there. In the past, in the post COVID price, crazy times and shortages, we had to make some pretty aggressive price adjustments on trailers. And at one time, even had a surcharge out there. Felt like we were chasing it for a while, but we want to be as fair as we can with customers that have already ordered trailers, and we hate to go and again do what we said we would do. If we plan to build it for you for this price, that's what we're going to try to do. There was an extreme time when we had to tack on an additional surcharge, but we got through it. Many other companies had to do the same or similar or even more aggressive things, but uh, we're always watching those pricings and trying to be appropriate with how trailers are priced, how we're buying materials, and again, be focused on the long term.
And I know we talked about how trailers have changed, maybe from the design perspective. I want to ask, how have you seen them change how they're actually built? Like, I know you guys have some automation type stuff out there in the shop, and are you looking at anything additional?
Good question. We do have some automation. We added a robotic welder about 5.5 years ago. That's made a great increase in our production. Uh, when we first told employees we are getting this robotic welder, we had people concerned that would cost jobs, and it did the exact opposite. We've been able to add more people because we could simply produce more parts. And what we do there is we build the routine things that are the same size all the time, can be fixtured and built on that robotic welder efficiently, and it takes the mundaneness out of somebody else's role, and they can build the custom products we need. Looking ahead into the future, I certainly think we need a second robotic welder, one for the Kansas facility down the road. They are an investment. So, those things that have to be planned out and, some studies made as far as the return there. We have a CNC plasma machine here in Chickasha. We have a CNC water jet in Manhattan. Do similar things, but there's some parts that are better on one machine versus the other. Uh, One of my goals this year is to learn more about automation. There's things that I think will always be hand built here. I don't see a way out of it, but there's other areas that we could add uh, more automation to, or CNC type controls. I've looked at a CNC machine that would cut our carpet and rubber mat for us and take some of that grunt work out of that. But again, trying to study where's the best investment for dollars. We'll we'll never be a Ford type of assembly
Hmm.
line, or Chevy assembly line where they're building the same thing over and over type of automation. I don't think we'll ever see that in my career, and especially the way that our product is custom designed, kind of built one at a time on a production line. But we try to be efficient with our material use, our material storage, and also our labor. That's really where we're trying to focus on.
You said you have those two different CNC tables that are kind of good for different things. Do you use that to your advantage and ship stuff back and forth? And same with people. Do you ship people back and forth for different opportunities?
Yep. Great question. Yes, the first part of that, yes, there's some parts that are better off of that water jet than they are the plasma, and vice versa. So there are some things that we are sending back and forth to each other, which has been great. That's not something that we could do 2 years ago before we had that second facility. So that's been a key advantage and something that we need to take further. People wise, yes, recently, this last 4 weeks, we've had employees from Kansas, 6 to 8 at a time, come down and spend a week with us here in Oklahoma, um, helping in production and also learning more of the custom stuff that we do here in Oklahoma. We're getting ready to introduce some additional models in Kansas in the third quarter this year, and it's going to require more training. So this was an opportunity this spring to engage with some of our employees from Kansas and come down here for a week spend time in our facility and help us in production, but also learn some of the different things that we do on trailers here that they will need to know when they build these models in Kansas later this year. The market's changed a little bit this year. We've got a higher demand for the medium to high level trailers, and so we need to be able to offer some of that product in our Kansas facility. It's probably happening faster than what I first thought it would, but that's okay. It's an opportunity for us to grow there and transition and ultimately offer more larger, more complex trailers. Not to the degree that we do here in Chickasha. We have a whole different setup here as far as plant facility and infrastructure and capacity, but there's models we can build in Kansas that will help our dealers, help our customers, and continue to keep Cimarron busy and profitable. So,
Do you think one or both of those facilities are kind of at their capacity yet of like throughput or just people working there? Like,
and I'm starting to think Chris sent you some questions. No, great question. There's room to get more out of some more out of Oklahoma. We need to add. I think it's going to take another 12 to 15 people in the right positions with the right skills, or advance people we have, grow them to fill those positions. We do finally have our third custom bay up and going right now. So we've got in that back corner of the shop, we've got three trailers going together in those custom bays. We've for a long time just had one bay staffed, and we got it to two bays, and now recently we've got it to three bays. So that's a major milestone for us. Uh, so I think to answer your question, Oklahoma, we could handle another 12 to 15 people. Um, it's about developing, attracting the right people here and then developing them into roles. We're doing some new things this year. We started a new hire orientation class. I know you and Shelby got to visit a
yeah.
little bit about that. That's helping engage people that are fresh to Cimarron, or maybe they worked here in the past and they come back, engage them early on in more of the overall picture instead of just coming in 6 o'clock on the first day. Here's your gloves, here's your glasses, and go to work. In this area, we're trying to expose them to more of the entire picture of Cimarron, facility wise, product education, um, knowing the culture, the values, the big picture, what we're focused on here. So we're doing that with new hires. We've had three classes. We've got our fourth one scheduled 2 weeks from now, and that's been fun. I've participated in all those events, different classes throughout that week with the employees, but it's been good from my perspective to engage with them early on. Um, I've said it multiple times this year. We're investing dollars in safety upgrades, and we're investing time in people. We need to retain our employees. We need to grow those that want to grow and advance themselves. We had a TIG welding class earlier this year, and that's was very good. Those people, took time out of their after hours to learn new skills, and we've had employees advance themselves because of that. So, we want to provide career paths for those that are wanting them. So, Manhattan, much smaller facility. It's 40,000 square foot of manufacturing compared to 136,000 here in Oklahoma. So much different scale. 47 employees compared to 165 here in Oklahoma. There's room to grow in Kansas, which is exciting. We have 7 acres there. We only use about 40% of it right now. So there's room if we decide down the road as we get through our strategic planning events and we um, figure out the vision for the future of Cimarron. If we need to build another building up there and grow those employee numbers to 55, then 60, 65, 70, there's opportunity there. That market has been very good so far as the labor market, and Paul and Shane, the guys there have done a great job of creating a culture of where people want to come to work. So there's growth opportunities, both here in Oklahoma and in Kansas, and who knows what else the future may hold if there's a third location or what that is. We've grown so much the last 5 years, specifically the last 3 years, facility wise here in Oklahoma, and then adding the Kansas facility. It's been a ride.
Yeah.
You've seen it. You've been part of it, and we've kind of used this year to quote unquote catch up to ourselves. We've got a lot of our infrastructure that we need to catch up on. Our people are busy. Several of them are maxed out on available time in the day, and but we're getting deeper into our Acumatica ERP system, as well as doing these things, slowing down and doing more of that new hire orientation and training, um, work processes, standard instructions on things, some things that we've got to catch up to ourselves infrastructure wise. So that's really what this year is, and it's an election year, which always throws some kinks into the market. Interest rates are higher than they've been the last 3 years, so that's customers are taking a little bit harder look at buying a trailer. A trailer for most people is a want; it's not necessarily a need. So that the economy all comes in at some point, but we're very blessed with the orders we have. The dealers we have are outstanding professional dealers across the country. Several of them I've worked with for 20 plus years. So some long-term relationships. Our vendors, our suppliers on our aluminum axles, tires, and wheels, we've got great long-term relationships there, and they've taken care of us. They took care of us through COVID, uh, and kept us supplied when others couldn't get product. We did, and very happy and pleased with how our team worked together to get through that time period, and how we've come together and grown the last few years.
So you said that you've grown a ton, but also you're trying to slow down. How do you balance those things? How do you know when you're maybe running away with expansion and new products, new buildings versus like hit the brakes, let's build trailers?
Well, I think part of that's my role and my job is to be very aware, emotionally aware. How are people doing? Are they overloaded? Are they stressed? Are we accomplishing our goals, or are we just trying to get through the day? And the last couple of years have been a blur. They've been good. Don't get me wrong; they've been great. I think what all of our team has done, and with y'all's help and helping us grow. I mean, I think that helps drives that share price, the value. I mean, we've just got the share reveal, and again, that's everybody working together. It's not just Cimarron; it's Cimarron, Lifeline, Gazette. Everybody's had to make decisions and take action. We can't just sit idle and see that price go up. So, um, but I think I started seeing the wear and tear on people 9 months, 12 months ago. Just everybody's running 100 mile an hour, and um, that's a large part of my role. I feel like is finding the balance every day, in workload for people, and just staying in tune with how dealers are doing, product selling. Is it selling quick? Is it stacking up? Um, what if I see stress on people? How do we try to decrease that stress? So it's really, I guess, to answer your question, it takes my involvement and awareness and feedback from team members.
I know as shared services and I guess the whole company really does the pulse survey. Do you use any of the results from that to kind of gauge the pulse of how employees are doing, how they're feeling?
Absolutely. That's an important piece. I'm glad you brought that up. We just got the results last Friday, I think. I got those sent to me. So we met as a leadership team and we picked out some themes of some focus points. And I'll be following up for the rest of this month and putting some action plans together. But um, overall, from the last 6 months, our scores have gone up. The positivity, you can feel that both here and then you see it in the results. But at the same time, if you see comments about we're going too fast, people are overworked, too much overtime, you got to take that into consideration. And it's a big concern of mine. You know, we've had some attendance issues, and so then it's just more work on the people that are showing up, and you put more work on the people that are doing all they can do. They get tired eventually, so you can't just keep cracking the whip, or they'll find something else to do. The job market's
Or, I
tough.
mean, yeah, tired
It is.
people are probably more likely to make mistakes or get hurt or not do their best. Yeah.
Exactly. There's the safety issue. There's the job enjoyment issue, and it's a. I know things are similar in Iowa, but with a 3%, 3.2% unemployment. I mean, there's job opportunities everywhere, and we have to be mindful of our people. That's what makes it happen every day. I know, Michael Terry told me early on that yeah, we build trailers, but we're really in the people business. People's what make it happen every day, and never forget that it's the human side of it that they're the best asset we have is our employees, and their well-being and well-being and their engagement in the work, and they're the ones that make it happen.
Awesome. That sounds like a great place to end things and wrap it up. But thank you very much, Ben, for taking the time out of your busy day to talk to me. I think it was great.
It's been fun. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to ESOPOD. If you want to get in touch, send me an email at esopod@foliance.com.